And we're live. Hello and welcome to the Conversations on Content. My name is James and we help you build your YouTube channel, optimize it for successful growth, and create more engagement with your audience. If you like that kind of content, stick around and watch the show. We are here today to talk about a very simple principle. I want you to think about, what does it take to get people's attention? What does it take to get people engaged in what you're doing? Are you really taking people to another level? Are you trying to get people engaged in what you're doing and coming back to your channel time and time again? And are you getting feedback from your audience on how you're doing and on how you're improving and on how you're getting the message? And are you making that connection with people? Or are you struggling and frustrated and banging your head against the wall to get more people to your channel? This is where a lot of people are at. A lot of people I talk about are banging their head against the wall, trying to get people's attention and trying to get people to understand and to come and grab them. Today, I'm going to talk to you about a simple strategy that, if you're paying attention, you've already seen it today, by the way, that can help you get more people engaged in what you're doing. I'm going to talk about the number one thing you can do to get people engaged in you as a creator, not just in the information you're sharing. And I'm going to share with you one of the things that we do and that most of the successful streamers and content creators that I talk to all the time do to get more engagement from their audience and to get people giving them feedback. So before we jump in, I want to ask you the question of the day. When we're talking about getting feedback, what are you doing right now in your videos to get feedback from your audience? Leave me a message in the chat. If you're watching this on the replay, leave me a comment and let me know what it is that you're doing to get more feedback from people in your audience. Today's show is brought to you by TubeSpanner. TubeSpanner is a brand new tool suite that's going to help you organize your workflow. They have tools to help you create a flow for your work. They have a custom thumbnail generator and a custom title generator to help you get that compelling title and thumbnail that's going to help you get more people coming to your channel. You need to check out TubeSpanner if you want to grow your channel. Use the link in the description below and get started for free today. All right. And some people drifting in. Hello, Vintage Vagabond Bands. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Thank you for joining us today. So we're talking about creating more engagement. We're talking about a simple principle that we've learned to help get more people engaged. Keep people watching your videos. This is something we learned, I talk about all the time. I've been studying public speaking. One of my goals this year is to actually present on a stage. If that kind of thing happens, we don't know how, things are going to go with the pandemic that's still ongoing. If we start having conferences again, I'm hoping that I reach that goal sometime this year. If not, it might be next year before we get to it. But, one of the things that I'm wanting to do is present on stage and start talking to people more directly. And it can be a stage in a small room, like a business meeting where I've got like 30 or 40 people, or it could be a huge stage full of thousands of people. I don't know where it's going to go yet, but it's one of our goals. It's part of why we love live streaming. It's practice for getting up on stage and being able to talk directly to people. And it's one of the things that we're learning. So one of the things that we started doing is we started trying to improve our presentation skills. Is nobody was really teaching this in the YouTube space, how to improve your presentations on video. But I started finding, pretty much we're doing the same thing public speakers are doing as we create videos. So I started going to public speaking classes and studying a lot of things on public speaking, as I'm trying to, one, get myself set up to do more public speaking, but two, also trying to understand and figure out how to incorporate these techniques into our videos. And so I've been doing this for a while, and several of my tips and things that we've talked about have been through going to some of those kind of classes and sharing some of the things that we've learned from that kind of stuff. And today there's a 3-part principle that we're going to talk about. It's a pattern of communication that you can use in your content that's going to help get people more engaged in what you're saying, and it's going to help people be engaged in you as a creator. And then there's a couple of things that we do that help people get engaged in us and help people come back to what we do. I've been doing this for almost 10 years. And 10 years ago, I didn't know all this stuff. And it was a struggle to get people to watch. It was a struggle to get people to check out my videos, to check out my blog posts, to check out my podcasts. And I couldn't figure out why people would come and go. I knew my information was valuable and my information was on point, but there were some things that I was missing and that I wasn't doing. And so we didn't make that connection with people. And so now over the years, I've studied a lot of this stuff and I've learned some ways to get people's attention and to get people engaged in me as well as in my content. And that's huge. It's hugely powerful. So we're going to be talking about that today. So the first thing I want you to think about is, how are you opening your videos and talking to people through your videos? Are you Tony Robbins coming out high energy? We're going to tell everybody what to do. You got to get on board right now. He does that and it scares a lot of people. In fact, you're going to lose 2/3 of your audience if you open your videos Tony Robbins style, where you're coming out. And I see a lot of people do this. I've done it myself, by the way. And you lose about 70 to 80% of your traffic when you do that. Because there's these different levels of communication. And I'm going to talk to you about these 3 levels of communication that you can walk through and how to use it effectively in your channel, because it's something we've been testing. And since I started testing it, my audience retention has gone up about 40%. And, I'm doing other things. There's other things that I think we're at play there, but it's one of the things. First of all, you got to win the click. You got to get that attention grabbing title and thumbnail. That's number one. One of the things that we just did a live stream a few weeks ago on the 5 points of engagement. So if you didn't catch that live stream, make sure you check the 5 points of engagement. It's down in the description below, and I'll link to it at the end of the live stream today. But that's one of the things that we've been looking at, is what are you doing to get more people engaged? One of the things we started doing is, you got to realize that there's 3 kind of forms of how people consume information and how people embrace information. You have very kinesthetic people, and kinesthetic people are very calm, and they're very feelings based, and they're very measured and thoughtful in how they consume information and how they present information. One of my teacher, but for people that are visual learners, one of the later ones that we're going to talk about, they're going to get bored and gone if you're kinesthetic too much. And then you have more auditory people, and these are people that hear, and they learn by sound, but they can be very flat and monotone. You ever see somebody, hello, thank you for coming to my presentation today. I am going to share with you the steps to do X, Y, Z, and we're going to talk in this exact same tone of voice for the entire time, and we're never going to vary, and we're never going to change our pacing. We're going to just go straight, flat, solid through the entire presentation. And these are more auditory people, but the kinesthetic people are going to be like, eh. And then the visual people are going to be like, ew, and run. They're going to get bored. They're going to be gone. And then you have the third one, which is the visual people. And these are people like Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins always comes out, he's high energy. And it's not about aggression, really. It's about just that high energy. You talk in visual references, things like one that I just used, banging your head against the wall. That's a very visual reference, and we're going to use those kind of metaphors in our talk. The problem is, the people that are in that high of an energy, you're going to scare off all the kinesthetic people. They're going to run screaming. And then you got the auditory people, and they're going to be like, ew, and you're going to lose about half of them. So you've already lost 2/3 of your audience if you're in that range. But we also have we have this pattern we've been studying, and it's called the charisma pattern. And if you're doing a public speech, you've got about 5 minutes to 10 minutes. If you're going to be on stage for, an hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours giving a presentation, you've got about 5 to 10 minutes to hook people and get people's attention and to run through this charisma pattern. But if you have a 10-minute video and you take 5 minutes to warm people up, you've already lost most of your people. So you've got to come in and you've got to do it. And so what we've been doing is we're testing this in our videos. But the way we're doing ours is within the first 30 to 45 seconds of my video, we've gone through this entire pattern. If you go back and watch my video, you'll see what I'm talking about. We started very slow. We asked a question, a thought-provoking question to make people think about what's going on. And then we use some visual references to get people's attention. We walk through that pattern. First sentence, question, thought-provoking, very thought out and slow. Second sentence is more of the auditory range. And then the third sentence is getting more into the visual range and that higher energy. And if you do that, you run through this pattern, you take people on a roller coaster ride, and you do this throughout your content, and you speed up, and you're going to be higher energy, and you're going to have times when you slow down. And it's also going to depend on the topic and the types of things that you're talking about. So, some topics, you want to be high energy when you're talking about them. And then there's some things that you want to talk about that you want to calm it down. You want to slow it down. You want to be thought-provoking and get people's attention. And when you run people through this pattern, you can keep them more engaged. People are going to be more listening in. And when you're high energy and then all of a sudden you drop down to slow, the people are going to lean forward and they're going to listen. They're going to be like, what did you say? They do this. And so since we started using this in our videos, our audience retention has gone up almost 40%. Just doing that. No, there's other factors at play, and there's other things that we're still tweaking and trying to change, trying to grow our audience and trying to grow our retention and keep our watch time going up. But that's one of the factors that since we started using that in our videos, we started noticing. But you've got, unlike a speech where you've got 5 minutes to warm them up and slowly get them going, like I said, in a video, you've got to do it within the first 30 seconds. And if you're doing shorts, you pretty much got to do it instantly. And that's something we're doing. So have you heard of this pattern? Leave me a comment below and let me know if you've been using something similar to this in your videos. And what are you doing to keep people listening, keep people paying attention? So number 2, one of the things that we've done is there's a key area of engagement that a lot of people aren't using. And I'm not great at it, but we're getting better. We're practicing it, and we've been talking about it a lot. So what are you telling people about you? How much of you are you allowing into your channel? And how much are you sharing experiences you've been through and things that you've done? And addressing them in a way that's relevant to your content and to your niche and to your topic. And, one of the things that we love doing is we love consulting with people, and we love being able to network with people. One of the things that we've done is we've been doing more consulting and coaching is it gives us more to share with our audience. Because as we do, we get to learn not only ourselves, but what other people are doing. When I started doing abandoned storage units, I started finding that some of the most popular videos we had were not the videos where we just showed all the stuff that we were unboxing. Those were okay, but the ones that got the most engagement, that got people involved, that got people coming back, especially if we did it over multiple videos, are the ones where we found and shared the story of the people that owned the unit. And when I'm doing these talking head type videos, it's been a little bit different, but I'm still sharing my stories Everything we do, that's why this is about my journey. I made this channel specifically about my journey in video creation and in growing on YouTube, because by sharing my story, I'm able to take people along on that journey with me. By sharing other people's stories, I'm able to take other people on that journey with them. And we're able to reach more people, and we're able to connect with people. This is how people are going to get invested in you as a creator. And it's something that we are not a master of. It's something I'm learning how to do. But years ago, I was doing consulting for a long time. I've been doing consulting off and on for over 10 years. And I had a client that came to me, and he had me, review his content. And I gave him a lot of things, and we dug in. We looked at his analytics. We looked at his content strategy, and he didn't really have one. He was just putting random content out, and there was no value proposition on his channel. It took me a while to figure out what his content was even about. And so he didn't do any of the things that we teach now to do. Hello, Sonny's Place. Thanks for joining us. But he wasn't doing any of that stuff. So I gave him a coaching, and I talked him through and gave him a full action plan on the things that he needed to do to completely change his channel. And so a few weeks later, he came back to me again and said, I'd like you to coach me some more. I said, okay. So he paid me. We went through the process, set up his appointment. I went to look at his channel in our pre-appointment, because I always go and look at the content before I do the appointment, so I can kind of have an idea of what we're going to talk about. So I was going in and looking through his content. Absolutely nothing has changed. In fact, he's put out some new content, and he didn't even apply any of the things I talked about in his new content that he's added since the last time we talked, much less changing any of his old content to make it work. He didn't do any of the things that we told him to do. I went ahead and I was like, okay, you know what? Maybe he didn't understand. So we get with him, we get on the coaching call. I really dig into him, and I really make sure he understood the entire plan and what to do and how to go about doing it. And he understood, and he was able to tell me exactly what he needed to do, exactly what was wrong. And I said, then why aren't we doing it? So I gave him the same plan again, and we basically went through and gave him the exact same steps to do again. And so he came back to me a few weeks later in the same game. Now, this is twice he's already paid me for coaching, and this is the third time he's come to me, and he's like, I really need your help. And I let him talk me into it. And so we did it again, and we went through this entire process. And it was just so frustrating, because every single thing I was telling him, I've already told him twice. And then a few weeks later, he comes back to me again. He's like, I really want to work with you. I said, well, before I even agree to work with you, let's look at your content. He hasn't changed a single thing since the very first session. I've now coached him 3 times. And I said, I'm not going to waste your time. I'm not going to steal your money. He was like, why? I really want your help. I was like, if you wanted my help, all I can do is tell you to do the same thing I've already told you to do 3 times. I'm sorry, I can't work with you because you're not going to apply what I'm telling you. I've got other people that want my time. I've got other people that want my attention, and they're willing to do the work. I said, if you go back, I said, I've given you all the coaching sessions. I've given you recordings of all the coaching sessions. If you want to apply what we've already talked about, then once that's done and then you have new questions, then I'll work with you again. But until you've already done what I've already told you to do, it would not do you any good to pay me any more money to tell you what you've already been told. So sometimes you have to fire a client. Now, the reason I share this story is so that you can understand that not everybody's going to be engaged in the work that you're doing. Not everybody's going to make the changes that you know they need to make. I have to accept that about what's going on here. But some people will. Sometimes you have to fire a client. Now, one of the reasons why we do this is because we're telling a story of our personal experience and how it could relate to the topics that we're talking about and how it can relate to what we're doing. And this is something that you want to do. You want to find your personal stories of your experiences and use that in your content. Use that in a way that's going to help draw people through your content, because people are going to learn more through listening to a story than they are from you sitting here giving them a list of facts. And if you use that charisma pattern that we talked about at the beginning of the show, and you use that in conjunction with your stories, it's powerful. It's extremely powerful, and you're going to get people coming back. They're going to get invested in you. Share your personal stories outside of your niche too. Share some of your personal life. Whenever we were building the Storage Scavenger, one of the reasons we built the following and the audience that we had, and the people were coming back, and I got people emailing me and wanting to know what was going on and wanting to know, is because we shared what was going on in our personal lives. We shared outside of the business. We shared what was going on with Jessica when she was sick. We shared what was going on with Emily when she was sick. We let people know, where we were going, what was going on with the family. And when we let people, we didn't tell them every single detail of everything going on in our personal lives, but we let a lot of people in to our personal lives. We gave them a glimpse into our personal story and what was going on in our lives outside of the business. And we always tried to put in a context of how these things that we were doing outside of the business and the things we were going on were affecting the business. So it was relevant to the community, because we were putting it in a way of so that they could understand what was going on with the family and how it was affecting what we were doing in the business and how it was affecting our progress in the business. And because of that, we got people really engaged in us, not just as customers, not just as viewers of a video, but engaged in us as people. We made a lot of friends through that. We made a lot of people who come back and contact us on the back end. I get people that are now like messaging me and emailing me and saying, "Hey, why have you stopped posting on the Storage Scavenger?" And I'll tell them, "Hey, I moved to another channel. I'm doing another thing. I needed a less active business. I needed a business that was more portable than my scavenging business, because I needed to be able to do things that were more digital and that I could take and be gone for weeks at a time and not have to worry about shipping." So that's why we moved from doing the reselling business. I still have the reselling stuff. We're still doing some stuff. I got some stuff on eBay that just sold. I got to get shipped out. But like, we're fixing to be gone, not next week, but the week after next. We're going to be gone for the whole week because Emily's got doctor's appointments in Dallas. And we have to be there 3 days early just to do a COVID test before they'll even let her into the hospital to do the procedures that she's going up there for. So we have to be there for like 5 days for one simple procedure. And because of that, I've got to be portable. I'm not going to be home. And this is happening more and more. Earlier last year, Emily was supposed to have surgery in February or March of last year. And because of everything that happened with the pandemic, her surgery got canceled. And that's one of the things we're doing. We're getting her ready for that surgery now. And she's probably going to be in that surgery within the next few weeks. And we're probably going to be gone again for 2 to 3 weeks. I can't run a shipping and a product centric business that requires me to be home and be having to make all these trips all the time. So that's something that we took into account when we decided to switch to the new channel. Is this channel, everything we're doing is digital. It's portable. Wherever I'm at, I can still run my business as long as I can get a decent internet connection. So that's why we made the switch. That's why we moved away from the reselling business. Because I can't constantly be going into vacation mode on my eBay store. I can't be constantly not home. It's going to be hard to run an auction if I'm not home constantly. And because everything got delayed last year, this year is going to be crazy hectic with Emily's schedule. Every single doctor that canceled her all year long, now they all want to see her. And we've got this surgery. We've got another surgery. We've got a possible another surgery after that. So we're going to be just bam, 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 one thing after another, playing catch up on all this stuff that was supposed to happen that all got delayed last year because of the pandemic. So our life is going to be chaos. And this is, assuming everybody in our family stays healthy. Jessica was in the hospital 3 times last year aside from Emily's issues. So because of that, we needed a business that was more passive income and basically content based and not product based, not, having physical products that I have to worry about shipping. So that's why we made the shift. That's why we made the change. And then I had, other things going on that have come into play with that. But we share these stories because we want people to, one, become invested in us and know a little bit about our lives outside of YouTube. But we also want people to know that, with these challenges we faced, we're still growing. We're still building our business. We're still improving our business every day. And if we can do it with all the challenges that we have to go through, having a special needs child, having a wife that's got diabetes and complicated our lives, and having all this other stuff going on in our lives, having a global pandemic, and we're still growing both of our channels. We're still growing our business. We're still growing the things that we're doing. And if we can do it with all the craziness we have to deal with on a daily basis, there's no reason you can't. I want everybody to understand there's no reason you can't succeed. But you have to do the right things and you have to be willing to do the work it takes. It's not going to just happen because you just put content out. You've got to organize that content. You've got to be intentional about everything you do. You've got to be strategic. On my other channel, The Inspired Tubers, for those of y'all that were following The Inspired Tubers show, I know some people were asking about it because I started the show a few weeks ago called The Inspired Tubers. And some people were interested in it, and some people have been interested enough to ask why I haven't been doing it. I moved it to its own channel. It's going to be linked down in the description below. But it's Inspired Tubers is the channel. And you can go there and you can find the Inspired Tubers show. It's going to be a weekly live stream. That's basically all we're doing on that channel is just a weekly live stream for the Inspired Tuber shows. And part of the reason why is because some of the stuff is content was kind of tanking some of my stats because some people were loving it and a lot of people weren't watching it. So we're moving a lot of our content over there. But if you want to engage in that, we're talking about that show is about the mindset, about the heart, and about the spirit, and how these internal aspects of our lives affect our content creation strategies. It's a totally different audience than what I'm building here, which is part of why we moved it to its own channel. So there's a lot of cross-referencing, but if you want to talk about last night, we did a live stream on strategic planning for your content. So if you want to go to Inspired Tubers, we'll link to that show down in the description below. So we've been getting more of these things going, and we're trying to get more engagement. We're trying to get more things going with our own channels. And it's been an interesting ride as we've been using these charisma patterns. We've been sharing more and more of our personal stories. We're getting more people coming and more people willing to share. Hey, look at what he's been through. The great thing is you can like we're doing some of these stories in our live streams. I can cut some of that out and make it its own video. And that'll bring more people in too. So that's something that we're looking at doing as we're creating more content for our channel. And as we're doing more to get people's attention. Now, the third thing that I wanted to talk about today is how to get more engagement with your audience. And I asked earlier what you're doing to get more engagement with the audience. We don't have very many people here. We only got a few people in the chat today. But what are y'all doing? If you're in the chat, leave me a comment and let me know what it is that you're doing to get more engagement with your audience. First of all, it's just doing those simple calls to action. Give us a like, give us a thumbs up. Make sure you're telling people to do that stuff in your YouTube channel, but you also don't want to do too many calls to action. One of the things that dilutes the effectiveness is if you're doing too many. Like, for example, I see a lot of people that are like, subscribe to our channel, leave us a comment, go check out our social media. Oh, and buy this product. So they're doing too many calls to action. And it depends, I think, on the length of your content and what type of content you're doing. I think you shouldn't have more than 1 or 2 different calls to action, maybe 3, if it's a long-term show, like it's a live stream. And if you're doing that, then maybe you might have 2 or 3. But if you're just doing, a 30-minute video, if you're just doing a 10-minute video, you don't want to be just call to action, call to action, call to action. You're sending people to so many different directions. When you give people too many options, they choose not to make a decision. When you give people too many options, they choose not to And so Sonny said, I ask people questions about specific topic vocabulary and ask for the usual like and comment and subscribe. And then Vintage, ask them questions and get them to interact. And see, and that's what we just did. And there's Chuck. Hey, Chuck. You forgot to. I've done that too, Chuck. I've had videos that I completely blanked out and forgot to do any call to action at all. And it's funny because sometimes those tend to be one of the most popular videos then, and it goes crazy, and you didn't have any call to action where you're directing them to do something. And some of that's just practice. I still forget it every once in a while, but whenever this is where if you look at some of the past videos we've been doing, well, things we've talked about a lot is planning your video. And when I plan these videos, I plan what the call to action is and exactly where it's going to go in the video. So I'm sitting here looking at my plan. I already know. I've already done 2 calls to action today in this show. And it was in my plan. I have right here on my screen. It's called a blueprint for the show. It's not scripted, but it's a blueprint. So that's why I have to keep looking over here on my computer screen. It's because I'm keeping myself on track by looking at my blueprint. But that's exactly the number one thing you can do to get people engaged is ask questions. Ask them questions that are relevant to your topic, or sometimes ask them questions that are not relevant to your topic, but it's just a fun question. My friend Shelly over at Shelly Saves the Day, if you haven't checked out her channel, check it out. One of the things that she does in her show, she opens every show with the same question. What's in your cup? And that's how she opens her show. And she usually tells us, like last night, her live stream, what was in her cup last night was water. Sometimes it's wine. Sometimes it's coffee. But she always tells us, this is what's in my cup. What's in your cup? And we have a whole chat about it, about what's in everybody's cup, what everybody's drinking today. Mine's coffee, by the way. 99% of the time, that's the answer. Although every once in a while, I do have some agua. Yeah. Do a blueprint. Planning your videos, you will see if you're going to be much more concise and less rambling in your videos if you have a plan. But 2, it's going to be so much easier to engage people, to get people coming back. And it's hard when you're doing like drifting videos. Like when we do our storage unit videos, we kind of have a basic outline of what we know the video is going to be like, because we know, okay, we bought a unit today. We're going to do the opening of the unit, and then we're going to do some unboxing. But part of that video, a lot of it's going to be dependent on the story we find when we start finding the personal papers. What's the story we're going to find? What kind of stuff are we going to find when we get in there? We don't know until after it's already created. And we usually kind of craft those stories after the fact. But we still look through the footage we have and craft a story. We create a plan of what story we're going to tell with that footage, and then we craft a story around that footage. Oat milk honey latte. Never heard of oat milk honey latte. Sounds interesting. They do. I always got coffee. And it doesn't matter if it's in the morning or in the evening. We're lactose intolerant. And see, you ask a simple question, and this is exactly what we're talking about. We're getting more engagement with the chat because we ask some questions. And that's one of the fun things that we can do. One of the things we're working on is y'all notice those of you who've been watching this for a while notice my studio has changed once again. We're continuing to work on the studio. The and sign over here, storage unit find, that came out of one of our abandoned storage units. The Serenity Prayer in the back, that was actually a storage unit find. The whiteboard is like the only thing in my backdrop that didn't come out of a storage unit. Even the table, you see the metal table behind me that's kind of got the glow behind it. That table came out of a storage unit. So, we've been scavenging for our studio. Some of it's just going through storage unit stuff that we've already had. Some of it was stuff that we picked up. We've also been looking for stuff on Facebook Marketplace. As we're building out our studio, we've been looking at, some different stuff that we found on Facebook Marketplace that we could use to incorporate into the studio. Some of it's going to take some building and some work. But if you're thinking about creating a visual space behind you, you want your backdrop to kind of be more than just a random hodgepodge of crap behind you. I've noticed that since we've started doing a more deliberate backdrop, one, it's more than just the plain walls that we had at one time, but it's not too busy and it's not too crowded, and it's kind of there, and it's a little bit better. And we're working on our lighting. We've got some more lights that we're working on adding in. But these are some things that you can do to get that engagement going. So if for those of y'all, I know some people, based on, I'm watching the chat numbers, so I know that some people came in late. If you came in late, I really recommend you go back and watch the replay and watch the beginning of the video, because we went through some really cool stuff that we've been learning about and we've been using in our content to help us to grow, to help us to engage more people. So if you got any questions about what we've been talking about today, getting more engagement, grabbing attention, or just anything about YouTube, we're going to open it up to the chat for questions and answers. If y'all have any questions right now, if you have something you're struggling with, feel free to ask us. Yeah. Ask questions about the projects you're working on, and do DIY stuff. So some type of woodworking used, tools being used, and etc. Yeah, that's cool. I watched several woodworking channels. I actually had a channel for all of about 5 videos on woodworking stuff. For me, because of my limited gear and limited setup, it was way more time to set up a single shot. And, it would take me like a week to do 10 minutes worth of work, just because I was constantly having to shift my gear, shift my angles, try to get a better shot, trying to get different shots and different angles and get those close-ups. And for me, it was taking me too long to get any work done and get videos. It would take me like a week to record one video. And it would take me a week to get 10 minutes worth of work done on my projects. So for me, it wasn't really good to do woodworking and YouTube content at the same time. I still love woodworking and I love YouTube content. I was not in a position where I could do both. And because most of my woodworking was done on my back porch, because I don't have a workshop, it was not you can set it up and leave it. It was set up, take it down, set up, take it down. We spent more time on setup and takedown than we did actually working. Do you think it's important to reply to comments on recorded videos? Yes. Now, do we reply to every single comment? I try to. Sometimes I miss some. But there's some comments that really don't have a reply. It might just be, thanks for watching our video. Make sure you check out something else, or, you want to do something to get that engagement. But especially if it's people you don't already know, absolutely, because that's going to help you build that engagement, build that relationship. If it's somebody new coming to your channel, especially, you really want to get that engagement with somebody new. Bring them into your fold. Ask them questions. Ask a question that's relevant to get the conversation and keep the conversation going instead of just, thanks for watching. Think about, what do you think about that? What was, if they say, oh, these were some great tips, ask them, which tip was your favorite? And sometimes people will come back and reply and respond and keep the conversation going. And sometimes you'll never see from them again. But start doing that kind of stuff and it can help get conversations going. And I've gotten really deeper into some things with people and actually come up with content ideas by getting those conversations going in my comment section. And the more comments you get, the more engagement. That's engagement. One of the things that we talked about earlier was our 5 points of engagement. Comments is one of your points of engagement with your audience. It's absolutely critical. And it sends signals to YouTube. If you have a video that has 3 comments on it, or if you got into a conversation, you might have had 3 people comment, but you got into a conversation with those 3 people in the comment section and you wound up with 100 comments because of that conversation. That's a really powerful signal to YouTube that people will really engage with that video. My last homesteading review for 2020 video just asked what learned. Yep. That's a great way to get some interaction with people. Getting questions that get people to interact. Try not to make them just yes or no questions. Sometimes yes or no questions help. Can be useful and they can get some engagement and interaction. One of the things to look at is your engagement in the chat. If you're doing a live stream or a premiere, YouTube looks at the amount of engagement you had in the chat on sending out more notifications because, not everybody gets notified the second you go live. One of the things that we found is I go live and about a third of my audience gets a notification when I first go live, even if you've clicked the bell. And then about another third, so now we're at 2/3, gets a notification about 45 minutes after I go live. So we should be getting that second round of notifications coming out just any minute now. And then we always get a spike in traffic once that second round of notifications goes out. And then a lot of people won't even get a notification for a day or 2 days after the live stream. So not everybody's going to get that notification. And sometimes it's people that have the bell clicked and they watch every video we put out. So I don't know exactly what formula YouTube uses to make that determination on whether they get a notification and when they get it. But I do know, and I've gotten it too. I've had people that I watch all the time and I go to every live stream and I don't get a notification that they're going live until like an hour or a day after their live stream. So I don't understand how that all works. Most people I talk to can't really give me a solid answer. Yeah, bloopers do really, really well. I don't get a whole lot of bloopers. It's not that I don't make mistakes. I just don't usually catch them on camera. Yeah, bloopers, people love the bloopers reels. That's why, funnies and bloopers reels, those things do really, really well. A lot of people love it. It's entertaining. And people like to see you being more human too. That's why it's great to show those things. It gets people to show that you're more real and not just, a well polished machine. And people like to go on that journey with you. Can you talk about the pros and cons of premieres? I've done a few premieres. And here's the thing is if you do them the right way, they can be really, really powerful because it kind of combines the positives of live streaming and the positives of a recorded video. Not done well, you get all the negatives of a recorded video and the negatives of a live stream. So you have to do them well. One of the things is make sure if you're going to do a premiere, I recommend don't premiere videos that are less than 20 minutes long. If it's going to be less than 20 minutes long, don't do a premiere. And that's just because the premieres are really about getting that engagement with your chat. And you want to have time for people to share the video and get new people in. It can help be a powerful tool to grow your audience. I know a lot of people, my friend Justin over Grimes Finds, he was doing premieres almost every day. And one of the things that he did was he would having his audience share it out during the premiere. He's giving those calls to action to share the video. He wasn't doing subscribe call to actions. He was just doing, share it out, share it out, share it out. Give us a thumbs up and share it out. Same 2 calls to action every single premiere. And because of that, he was getting a ton of social shares during the premieres. He was getting a lot of new people coming in every premiere. And people joining his channel, people subscribing to his channel, people joining his memberships. And he grew up. I mean, that's why he grew to 100,000 subscribers in a year. But he was very, very active, and he did them very, very well. He also was doing it almost daily. He built a community that actually got upset when he stopped doing premieres because he did them so well. Most people don't have that kind of results, though, because they don't do them right. They don't show up. I don't know how many times I've been to somebody's premiere. They've got a premiere going on, and they don't even show up to their own premiere, much less any of their audience. If you get that audience engaged, you want that audience there. You want to kind of get the chat going. Make sure you have some moderators going in your chat, too. You don't want to be doing premieres without any moderators. You don't want everybody to be a moderator, but you want to have at least 2 or 3 good moderators going in your chat to keep the rip-rap, to keep the stuff on point and the comments going. One of the keys, if you know you're going to be doing this, is part of the plan, having a plan before you record. If you know you're going to premiere this video, you should talk to the people watching the premiere during the videos. One of the things I learned from Justin, he would talk to the premiere audience in the video. He would ask questions and tell them to drop an answer to a question in the chat. Or he would, just like we do on a live stream, he would do the same thing as he recorded his video. So he would have that interaction with the community through the video. That can be a powerful tool. If you know you're going to be premiering a video before you record it, then you can plan that into your plan to have those calls to action and have those thought-provoking questions and things in the video itself where you're talking directly to the people. Yeah, any type of live should have moderators. Now, it depends on how big of a following you have, honestly. If you've only got, between 1 and 50 people, you only need 1 or 2 mods. The reason I have as many mods as I have on some of my stuff is because the mods may not make it. Like Adrian's one of my mods. She wasn't able to make it this morning. So, I have a few people that mod for me. And I have one mod that doesn't even come to any of my live shows anymore because of their schedule and personal things they've got going on, and we've communicated. But the reason they're still a mod is because they help me moderate comments, because your mods can't just moderate your chat. They can also help moderate your comments. And I have one of my mods he was actually one of the first mods on any of my channels, and he helps me moderate the comments. But yeah, premieres can be really, really powerful for creating engagement. You gotta get the best of both worlds. Again, the more interaction you have with that chat during a premiere, if you're not getting interaction with the chat, not getting response and comments from people in the chat, and people aren't talking in the chat, it can actually hurt your video, because YouTube is, again, looking at that chat. They're looking at the activity in the chat. And if they're getting more activity, they're going to push it out to more people. You can also get your people that are in the chat sharing your content, which can really help build up your audience. I don't think you should do it. I think Justin went overboard as far as doing it every day. I wouldn't do it every day. When we were doing premieres of a storage scavenger, we were doing 1 premiere a week. We were doing daily content for a while, but we did 1 premiere every week. And one of the things that we did, this is something very, very powerful, is if you can collaborate with another channel and they do either a live stream or a premiere, and you can become become friends with them, you follow them. So like I did this when we were running with Justin a lot. We did a collaboration with Justin and we got to be friends. And so I was doing my premieres and my live streams because he did his at the same time. He did his at 7:30 Eastern time or 7:30 Central time every day. And so my live stream was scheduled to go as soon as his premiere ended. And so because of that, and I was a moderator on his channel, and he allowed me to promote my upcoming live stream and my upcoming premiere that followed his during his stream. And because of that, that's part of how we went from 25 subscribers to 300 subscribers in just a couple of weeks, because we were promoting our channel on his channel, and he had over 10,000 subscribers at the time. Now he's almost to 100,000. And because of that, we were able to draw a lot of people from his show. And as his audience was growing, we were promoting our channel on his channel, and he was promoting our channel on his channel, and he would come to the live streams. And went back to the very beginning, he actually came on the live stream with us a few times and helped us kind of get our live streams going. And he would shout us out, and he would tell the people watching his show to come check out our videos and our live stream. That helped us a lot with that initial growth and initial getting up, because one of the things I tell people all the time is it can take you months to get ranking in search. It can take you months to get started showing in recommended content. You have to have a lot of content out there, and no matter how well your optimization is. That's why networking and collaboration is the number one thing you can do as a small channel to get your channel off the ground. That's how we've done it with our own channels. Most of the people that watch this channel came here from other people's channels, from collaborations we've done, from getting on other people's live streams, talking to other people, networking with other people in the community that had similar interests to ours. You know, some of y'all came to us through the reselling community. When we first started this channel, we went out on a lot of the live streams in the reselling community and got people to watch our content. Some of y'all know, I've done a couple of collaborations with Adrienne Rose. She's one of my mods. I also, watch her shows. And hey, Matt. And yeah, 37 minutes. That's a good length for a premiere. Had a lot of views and a lot of interaction. And then one of the things you want to do with your premieres is you can kind of tease things that are coming up in the chat, tease things that might be, coming up, and do things like one of the things we would do when we would do a premiere. That's where we would sometimes have a bonus find, something that we didn't talk about in the units or that we found later. So we would do a bonus section at the end of our premiere. So people would be engaged, would be watching the chat, and I'd be like, we'd be coming near the end. I'd be wrapping it up. And I'm like, don't go away. We're not done yet in the chat. And people are like, yay, bonus footage. We love bonus footage. So do a bonus footage or do some bloopers or something at the end of the video that helps people, that's going to engage more people and show off something else that you hadn't even talked about. And that's something we did at our premieres, and it helped extend the premiere just a little bit longer, and it helped keep people more engaged. So those are some great questions. I do premieres every once in a while. I do find that premieres also kind of depend on how engaged of an audience you have. If you've got a good, highly engaged audience, premieres can be really powerful. If you have a very small audience, I did 1 or 2 premieres on this channel when we first started out. We only had like 10 subscribers and nobody showed up. And those videos honestly didn't perform very well because YouTube saw we did a premiere and nobody came to the premiere. So that sent negative signals to YouTube. So it really hurt my channel to do premieres. So if you're doing premieres and you're not getting that engagement, it can hurt you. But if you get that engagement, if you do those things to build engagement with your channel, I would recommend being at least maybe 200 to 300 subscribers so that you can get a good 15 to 20 people in your premiere. And if you can do that, then I think it can be really, really powerful way to get more engagement. We're going to probably premiere some of our videos as well as we grow. So this has been a fun discussion today. For those of y'all that came in late, make sure you go back and watch the replay and watch the entire video. We talked about some of the things that we use, some of the patterns we use to communicate with people in a way that's going to get more engagement, that's going to get people interested in what you're saying, that's going to keep people and coming back for more. So if you go back and watch the very beginning, there's some really cool tricks that we've been learning and using ourselves, and it's been increasing our watch time, increasing our engagement, and helping us to get more people coming to our channel. And thank you guys so much. I posted a video and it got 156,000 views. I can benefit from it. I'm not sure, Truth Teacher, what you're mentioning there. I mean, if you've gotten 156,000 views, that right there is beneficial to your channel. But as far as after the fact, once you've already gotten those views, I mean, you can't go back and necessarily get all those people back. It still gives you views and watch time, but you need, in order to take advantage of that, you need to have the things in place beforehand, which is why we talk about the optimization strategies, optimizing for viewers, optimizing for search, optimizing for, capturing people when they come to your content, which is one of the things we teach in some of our other live streams, how to do that. But as far as, setting yourself up for the future, if you've had a video that had 156,000 views, that means that it's possible for you to create that kind of engagement. You have to really break down that video and look at what did you do that got that kind of engagement and figure out what caused it to get that. And then you can figure out how to repeat it. But then also, if you got all those views, but you didn't get any subscribers, then what kind of call to actions did you have in that video? Or what could you do differently to include those calls to action? What could you do to get more engagement with people next time? But if you've done it once, you can do it again. It's just a matter of figuring out what worked and what didn't work. It's about breaking down your analytics and understanding what got people's attention. It could have been your title and thumbnail got that many. When it comes to views, it's mostly about your title and thumbnail, not the actual content. But then I also have to look at, okay, you had 156,000 views. What was your watch time on that video? How much of those people stayed engaged and stayed watching? That many views, you probably had a fairly low watch time percentage, because the more views you get, the lower that percentage is going to be. I'd have to look at the specific video and do a breakdown. We can't really do that here. We do that with our channel audits and channel reviews. Yummy! Good morning. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Thanks for joining us. So we've been talking about getting more engagement, keeping people engaged and coming back for more. There's a lot of things that we do with our content that can help people. And it doesn't matter what platform you're on either. If you're on YouTube, if you're on Facebook, if you're on Periscope, if you're on Periscope, you better be finding someplace else to go, because Periscope's shutting down here in just a few weeks. But there's lots and lots of places out there to go. We've been using Streamyard, but I've got some people that are really, really talking me into testing Restream. I've had some people asking me what's the difference between Restream and Streamyard. I haven't used Restream yet, but I've got some people that are using Restream that are trying to get me to switch over to Restream from Streamyard. And I'm thinking about giving it a test run for a month or so and seeing the difference, seeing if it's any better than Streamyard, seeing what I like about it, if it's worth switching over from Streamyard or just sticking with StreamYard. I like StreamYard because of its simplicity, its ease of use, but I haven't used Restream yet, so I can't really speak to how good it is. But we're doing fantastic. We were actually just wrapping up. We're at our hour mark already. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. If you have any more questions, real quick, ask them in the chat, and we will try to answer what we can real quick before we take off. If there's no more questions, we are going to call it a show for the day. I'm glad it stayed on. Our internet went off last night shortly after my other live stream, and we just got it up. Yeah, Restream is another, it's kind of like StreamYard. It's another streaming software. It's restream.io is their website. I don't have an affiliate link to them because I haven't set up an account with them yet. But I have not tested it, but a lot of other big YouTubers are using them. A lot of people are. I know Owen Video uses it. Shelly from Shelly Saves the Day uses it. So I've been looking at testing them out. I've had some people asking me the differences between them and StreamYard, and I can't say because I haven't used Restream yet, so I don't know if it's any good or not. I can tell you, Streamlabs came out with one that's called Melon, and I can tell you every single person I've talked to who's used Melon, and my friend Brandon over at Brendan Sparks, he and I have collaborated a few times. He's been promoting Melon a lot. And he recently switched over to StreamYard, and every person I've talked to that's used Melon has had problems with it. And it's not, I'm not trying to trash their product, but they've been having a lot of connectivity issues and people losing their streams in the middle of their streams. And I don't know. It's a real buggy system. So yeah, it's a little bit cheaper than StreamYard, but it's a little bit more problems. So I don't recommend Melon. I do recommend StreamYard, especially if you're brand new to live streaming and you want to test out live streaming. You can be up and streaming within a matter of minutes. We have a step-by-step tutorial on StreamYard. In fact, it was the very first videos we put out on this channel was a 3-video series on how to set up and go live with StreamYard. And within about 30 minutes, you can be live streaming on StreamYard. That's why we love it. It's so simple and easy to set up and get started. So my recommendation as of right now is still StreamYard for going live. You can do it from your mobile phone. We almost had to go from my mobile phone today because we were not getting internet service. But with Restream, I haven't tested it yet. We are going to test it out. Yeah, I love StreamYard. I think they're fantastic. Ease of use. You know, we run a very simple stream, so we don't have to have a lot of complicated stuff behind the scenes. I haven't done a whole lot of scenes and all that kind of stuff. You know, I don't have a Mac, so I can't use Ecamm. I've thought about trying to incorporate OBS and using OBS so we can do some scene switches and do some different things that we can't do with StreamYard. I'm going to look into Restream, though, and see if it'll do some of those things without having to use OBS. But I know some people that are using a combination of OBS and Restream and or using a combination of OBS and StreamYard. So I'm thinking about doing some of that, too. Good morning, Iris. You have the pro account? Me too. Well, I'm actually fixing the shutdown too. I'm just over my 1 hour show limit today. So thank you so much. I appreciate that. For those of y'all just coming in, make sure you go back and watch the beginning. We talked about a simple strategy that we use to draw people through our content that helps keep people engaged, and how we use it within the first minute of our video and throughout our video to help take people on this it's kind of like an emotional roller coaster ride that you're drawing people through if you do it right. We're still learning, we're tweaking it and perfecting our ability to use it. But since just in the very kind of rudimentary way we've been using it, we've already seen an increase 30 to 40% of our watch time. So it's something that we use, and then we've been talking about, getting engagement, getting those questions out there, getting those calls to actions in there to get more engagement with the audience, and using some of the things that we use to get people hooked on us and our content. So make sure you check that out. Coming with new equipment. New equipment is fun. I've been changing my backdrop. That's like the newest stuff I have here, and most of that, like even my lighting, my lights that I'm using on the backdrop, all came out of storage units. Everything on the walls, except for the whiteboard, pretty much everything except for my actual recording gear and the whiteboard, all came out of storage units. Hey, Oso. Thank you so much. I hope you're having a fantastic day. If there's any more questions, if anybody's got another question, I'm going to give you all another minute or two to drop a question in the chat. If there's not any more questions, we are going to call it a day. But if you have some more questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. If you have any questions and you're watching this on the replay, make sure you leave us a comment below. This is how we create a lot of our videos, as well as we will answer you directly in the comments, but we'll also create a lot of our videos based on the questions that people are asking us. So I hope that that's helpful. Been following along. Cool. So one of the things you also have to realize whenever you're using these third-party streamers, like I'm using Streamyard, we were talking about Restream. One of the things you have to realize if you're streaming, and a lot of people forget about this, don't think about it, there's about a 20 to 30 second delay from the time a viewer gets the information, because the information has to go from us to YouTube out to the viewers. And then it has to go from the viewers to YouTube and then back to the platform that you're using for us to get the chat. So there can be about a 20 to 30 second delay between you saying something and the chat responding. So that's something you have to be careful of and be aware of whenever you're giving those calls to action, when you're asking for that feedback or you're asking somebody to put something in the chat. You got to give people that time to respond. I see a lot of people ask a question and nobody answers it right away, and so they cut it off. So you got to give it a little bit of time. Does one need the StreamYard service to join someone else's live? No. Let me screen share here this. So when we're here on Streamyard, there's my top end. But if you look right down here, it says invite. Let me get you off the screen. It says invite. So all we do is we go invite, and we just copy and send you this link, and I can email it to you. I can Gmail it to you. I can send it to Facebook Messenger, or I can just copy the link and send it to you any other way. And whenever I do that, you don't have to pay for StreamYard. I can invite anybody into my stream by just sharing that. Like I can even take that stream and drop it in the chat and invite anybody in the chat to join us on the stream. I don't personally recommend doing that. I've seen a lot of people. I have a friend of mine that was doing that for a while, and they had some flashers clicking on their links in their chat and coming in and flashing everybody and running around naked. So I would not do that myself. I try to stay away from putting the live links in the chat. Now, if I was doing a private, like a members only stream that was in private mode and only members could see it, I might do something like that, but I don't do it in open streams. I would rather personally invite people to come in through private messages, DMs, something like that. But all they have to do is send you a link to join a live stream. You don't have to have StreamYard. You don't have to pay for StreamYard. You can go in. If you have your own StreamYard account, you can do things like setting up your audio avatar. So like I have a couple of different ones. So if I was to go stop cam, you see I have my picture there, or I can change my avatar. I can do my storage scavenger logo. I can do that one. I can even do my Little Pony. So we can do different audio avatars. You have to have a StreamYard account to set those up. But if you don't have StreamYard, you don't have to do all that. The host can even change those too, by the way. So if you're on somebody else's stream, the host actually has access to go in and change your display name that shows up down here in the corner, or that shows up on your stuff. The host has the power to control that. Is there a free version of StreamYard? Yes, there is. There are some limitations. Like, for example, you see right here in the top corner, you see my conversations on content logo with the free version of StreamYard. And by the way, I have a video on the free versus paid features of StreamYard. So it tells you what features in StreamYard are free and what's paid. But some of the things, like I can do that 30-second countdown with the free version of StreamYard. Me to upload personal clips like that one, that's a paid feature. You have to pay for those. Also, with the free version of StreamYard, you can stream for up to 20 hours a month in the free version. When we started doing auctions, and some of our auctions run 4 or 5 hours long, we had to upgrade to the paid version because we were running out of hours like the first week of the month. Second week of the month, we were running out of hours between doing 2 live streams a week and doing our auctions that were sometimes 4 or 5 hours long. We would be halfway through the month and we would be out of hours for StreamYard. So because of that, that's when we had to upgrade. But then I can put my personal logo. If you don't upgrade, you have this logo right here. Will always be, you can't turn that logo off. If you're using the free version, you're going to have the Powered by StreamYard logo. You also have this overlay, is the only overlay you can use with the free version. It's their branding. Whereas if I'm using a paid version, I can do things, overlays like this one, so I can share my social media stuff. That's all paid versus free features. Again, I have a whole video breaking down all the paid features and all the free features of StreamYard so you can make the best decision for you. It's not that expensive. It's only like $20 a month. And I really do recommend, if you're going to do a lot of streaming. I streamed for 9 months, y'all, before I upgraded to the paid version of StreamYard. 9 months I was streaming before I upgraded. So it's nothing you should be in a rush to do. But if you're doing a lot of live streams, like you're streaming daily, or if you're going to need those extra features, you want to do those video intro clips or those buffer clips. Like I can do my branded little ad. Today's show is brought to you by TubeBuddy. Those are little bumper ads that we put in there for our sponsorships and for products that we're recommending people to as affiliate products. We can put those in there in the paid version. You can't do that kind of stuff in the free version. You can also do different backgrounds. So like, let me see if I can put this. Well, if I do screen share, is about the best way I can do it. So say I was just to share my screen. And let me get back to StreamYard. So you see I have a screen share. You see I have my conversations on content background. And I have different backgrounds that I can put in here. You get this one right here, just little leaves. That's what you get for the free version of StreamYard. But I've got one for my Inspired Tubers show. I've got one for my conversations on content. I have just a plain one. That's the one we use most of the time for Storage Scavenger. And so you can put these custom backgrounds in with the paid version, but you can only use that in the paid version. If you have the free version, you can't do those custom backgrounds. So, it's all about what you want. Again, just like anything. Yeah, you can try it out for free. We do have a link down in the description of our videos to StreamYard. And it does give you a discount. I think it's like $10 off your first month if you use our link. But you can check out the free version as well and then upgrade later. That's cool. And I love StreamYard. I like it because of its simplicity. There's features I would love for it to have that it doesn't have. One of the things is like I get a lot of glow and glare off of my screen. I use dark mode on pretty much everything, but they don't have a dark mode available for StreamYard. It's one of the things we've been bugging them about. Okay. Browse and suggested. So browse features that's basically your YouTube homepage. So when people go to the YouTube homepage and they recommend content on the homepage, or if you show up in the trending section, if you happen to show up in trending search, or if you show up on the in people's subscription feed, so they look at the subscription, those are all browse features. Suggested is the suggested videos where at the end of a video, and it gives that pop-up and it says, we recommend you watch this video next. And sometimes if you have autoplay on, it'll autoplay the next video. Or sometimes if you don't have autoplay on, it'll just give you a list of videos on the video screen that says, here's recommended videos to watch. Those are the suggested videos, which is different than recommended videos, which are the ones that show up on the sidebar. It's confusing. And see, this is one of the things that confuses people, because each one of those sections that you see, browse, suggested, recommended, search, every one of those has its own algorithm that determines what videos show there. Now, there's some similarities that they look for, which is why you see a lot of similar videos in those places, but it's not always exactly the same because they have their own algorithm for each one of those places where they serve content. Dragon Value, thank you so much for joining in. Thank you for stopping by and saying hi. Hope you're having a fantastic day. And for those of y'all that are watching that had that conversation earlier, this is what we were talking about. We're getting more viewers coming in, more people. We passed that 45-minute mark and another round of notifications went out. And more people got notified that we were live. So in analytics, browse and suggested. So browse is, the YouTube home search. Let's just go to YouTube. All right, so we're going to go here to my YouTube channel. All right. Now, this is my homepage for my channel, so that's all my videos. But if I click right here and I go to home, all this is browse. If I come down here to the trending page, all this is browse. Subscriptions, all this is browse. Now, if we go to, let's go back home. Let's click on that's an upcoming live stream. David's live. These are all lives. Well, let's do this one. It's one of my friend Brendan. He's got a short. I already watched this one a couple of times. Say we come down here to the end of his short video. Okay, this right here, these videos that popped up, these are all suggested search. So that's where your suggested comes in. This right here on the right-hand side is recommended search. And there's a different algorithm. They're very similar, but if you notice, the videos that are showing up here, some of them are the same, but not all of them are. Okay? Because there's a different algorithm that serves this recommended search, and this is the suggested search. And they each have their own algorithm that determines what videos show up there. And then if I go to search and I say, how to get more sales on eBay, then this is its own algorithm. And so there's all the people that are ranking for how to get more sales on eBay. So that each one of those has its own algorithm and shows up differently. Don't forget to hit the like button. Thank you. So I hope that was helpful to you guys. We've been on for an hour and a half. We're going to go ahead and call it a day. Got some other things to do. I got to go dig into my analytics and do my weekly deep dive into my own channel and see how things are going. So thank you guys so much for y'all's support, for your appreciation. We appreciate everything you guys have done for us, helping us grow. If you haven't already, hit that like button and give us a share. If you found this information valuable, if you know somebody else that could be helped with using some of this strategy in growing their channel, if there know people that are trying to get more attention and keep people's attention on their videos longer, which is one of the things that's going to help you. Remember, one of the key aspects that YouTube is looking at when recommending content and with your search and all of those things that we just showed you, one of the number one factors they're looking at is viewer retention. So the longer you can keep people watching your videos, the longer you can keep people engaged in your content, the more it's going to give YouTube signals to share it with more people. This is where you're going to increase your impression rate. The more impressions you get, the more chances you get of getting new viewers. So thank you guys so much. Start applying these principles. If you came in late, go back and watch the beginning of this video. And we will see you guys next week. And the week after next is when we will be talking next week. By next week, we should know more about what's going to happen the week after next, because we're going to be out of town. And I'm not sure yet if we're going to be able to live stream where we're going to be. So we'll talk more about that next week. You guys have a great show day, and we'll see you next time.